Well, hello and welcome to Here with Helen. In this video, I'm going to be talking a little bit about being scared to leave a relationship and why that is wrong. I was inspired by a post I saw on social media earlier today. So if this is your first time here at my channel, welcome. I'm Helen and I have just relocated into Australia. As you can see, I'm sitting on a beautiful beach at the age of 61. Since I've been here in January, I've been reflecting a lot of my life. It's like, as you can tell by my accent, I'm originally from England, and being on the other side of the world has given me that perspective on what's happened in my life, and also where I'm going and my purpose. And I think my purpose is to talk about my experiences, and also I want to say I am not rich or wealthy in materially, monetary terms by any means. So if I can do it, anyone can. But that's a subject for another video. I think I made one last year of travelling on a budget, because I don't search through the old videos. So welcome. If this is your first time here, please subscribe and support me. It would be my dream actually one day to monetize this channel, but it's a slow progress. The people, anyway, I'm not going to talk any more about that, but I have to live, you know. So I'm looking at ways of earning money. But today, this morning I saw a post. It was from a lady called Sherele Moody. She is based in Melbourne here, like me, and she's a journalist, and she is raising awareness of femicide, really. She's got a blog or website called Femicide Watch, where she reports on all the women in Australia who are murdered every year. Or say, well, each woman that's murdered. I've been to a couple of her events, and yeah, it wasn't kind of what I expected when I came out here, that this would be the direction my life would take, but I came with an open mind. Anyway, one of her posts this morning was about women being afraid to leave a relationship, or even start one with the guy getting arsey, that not respecting her decision to say no. Either I don't want to go out with you, I don't want to be in a relationship with you, or I want to end this relationship. And women should be able to do that and feel safe and be respected. And I've been thinking about that today in my situation, that I've been in that situation with my ex-husband. I'm feeling now quite emotional when I talk about this. It's also very therapeutic. I've been doing lots of writing, making videos. So yeah, if you want to see things I've written about, go to my blog. The link is in the description below. And so when I first met him, I was 19, so very young, and we dated. Obviously went out. I realised, looking back, it was a rebound thing. I'd broken up from my first serious boyfriend the day before. We hadn't even really officially broken up. We found out he was two-timing me. We had broken up the year before, and we got back together. But all the boyfriends I'd had before I met Vic, my ex-husband, that, if we broke up, just broke up. Yeah, you might be a bit hurt, you might be a bit upset, but move on, don't you? You respect that other person. You don't try to say, oh, no. Yeah. It's just life. Anyway, so yeah, I was 19 when I met him, so about 2.5 years later, just over 2 years later, we were engaged. I was 21. How young was that? And there was pressure. you know, the idea was, this was like when did I get engaged? 1985. And it was still the idea that a man will take care of you, you get married, your life will be sorted, you know, this fairy tale thing. Oh, they got married and they lived happily ever after. And I've got lots of friends who married the guys they were dating when we were at school and very happily married. So it works for some people. But the thing is, it all is a bit of chance. We were never given any education about relationships, red flags, warning signs, things to look out for. So I didn't know that it was a warning sign that after a while I realised I didn't want to marry this guy. I didn't love him. But there was also this kind of duty that had been instilled in me. Oh, well, you've made a commitment to somebody now. With all the money being spent on the wedding, my dress was being made. But not only that side of it, there was fear about what he would do. And I didn't realise that. But, you know, looking back, it was obvious. It was probably very subtle at the time. Anyway, the marriage went ahead. Oh, this is emotional. And obviously, this is my ex-husband. Dead ex-husband, yay. Always get a laugh when I say that. So, and then a few months after we were married, and I wasn't happy, I made plans to leave him. And, you know, I was reflecting on that today. God, I was even scared then. We rented a flat for a while, then we bought a house. First house. God, that makes me feel sad. I used to own a house and now I have no property, very little money, but hey ho. I'd rather that than be stuck in that situation. And he was working, he was an aircraft engineer, and he was due to go abroad and work in Thailand for several months. And so I knew that he was going away. He was going to be away for 3 or 4 months. But like, this is my chance. While he's gone, I even had it planned down to all the bits of furniture and what I was going to take, and sort of to divide it up between us. You know, some for him. I was going to leave the house, go and rent a flat somewhere. There's no way. I moved away from London down to the South Coast. No way I wanted to go back and live with my parents. I was going to be independent. But his trip kept getting delayed and God, so this would have probably been early 19. We got married in 86, so this would have probably been early 1987. I was starting to think this, or sometime during 1987. And I can't remember when he first went away. It must have been the following year because my son was born the following year. So that was it. Then I realised. Then I got pregnant. Oh God, what do I do now? I was so unhappy. It was like I didn't want to be pregnant, and I'm sorry to my eldest son if I don't. Obviously, you didn't feel like that once he was born. I love him to bits, but it was very difficult, and he gave me a purpose, you know, something to live for. But of course, you know, that was ingrained in me. Oh, being a single mom, it was shameful. Being a divorcee, single parent family. Back then, you know, this is nearly 40 years ago. So I thought, well, we'll stick it out, we'll see what happens. I can't remember the first time he actually hit me. He didn't hit me that often. And I'm not saying that to make it sound like it was any better than it was, because you know, there's no excuse for that either way. And he did. First time he raised his hand to me was when my son was a tiny little baby. Well, he went back to Thailand when my son was 6 weeks old, so it was before my son was 6 weeks old, and I was holding him, and he raised his hand to me. And it's not a good sign, is it? But, you know, I got my baby. What was I going to do? Really, I dropped out of uni, and he was very good at reminding me about that. Oh, that I was useless. I couldn't do anything. Although, you know, my job I had was reasonable. I did accounts, bookkeeping, and I earned a reasonable amount of money, and I would have been able to support myself. not sure whether I would have been able to support son as well, because childcare, everything else. So you can see my quandary. And my parents were very anti-divorce, very sort of like church orientated. Divorce was bad. That was indoctrinated into me as well. And don't say I'm not blaming my parents for anything. I'm not blaming them. I love them. I know they were doing their best. It hurts sometimes, but I'm not going to be resentful because it causes me pain. So we end up, well, we almost broke up actually at that point, and then I said, because he was away so much, I said something's got to change. And then we went and lived abroad, and it was better, but it wasn't brilliant. And then son number 2 came along, 5 years later, and in a couple of years, it wasn't even 2 years after that, because I was about 18. He must have been about 18 months. We were living in Doha in Qatar then, and I was going back to the UK to see my parents. This would have been the early 1996, and at that point I'd had enough again. I need to leave him, and I thought I was due to go back to visit my parents with my 2 sons, because there was a school holiday or something, maybe it was Eid, or something like that. But anyway, I went back, and my plan, I thought, actually, I'm going to go to my parents and I'm not going to come back. I've got to have enough distance from him, because I'm scared. It's like, I'm scared to say to him I'm not happy, or because I didn't know what he would do, because he was abusive, he was violent. He didn't really beat me up, but he didn't need to, because he was big compared to me. He was like over 6 foot, and he could intimidate me with his size. And of course, over the years, my confidence had been eroded because of the things he used to say to me, and I believed that I was worthless. And going back to things I'd been told as a child, it's like when he died, my ex-husband, it was like, not just healing for that marriage, but how did they end up in that marriage in the first place? Because nobody ever asked me what I wanted. Well, I wasn't really sure myself. And I never had the chance to explore that, and that's what I'm doing now, really, 40 odd years later. But hey ho, better late than never, eh? So and then of course, so that's what I was going to do. Then I found out I was pregnant again with my youngest son. So again, what do I do? Oh dear. Now 2 kids, now 3. Yeah, it's almost like you can't make it up, can you? But anyway, well, go back, see how we get on. But I knew 3 years later, he said, we're leaving, we're coming back to the UK. I thought, right, that's it. I know this marriage is not going to last. I said, you're just going to go back to how we were before, you're going to be going away again. And he did, and I realised I was much happier when he was away. But then I was scared, how am I going to tell him? Because I didn't know what he would do. He was so volatile and unpredictable. He had his temper, and I was scared. Yeah, of course I was scared. And we shouldn't have to be. And this is a call out for male allies as well, to call men out on this shit. Because we say it's not all men. It's not all men. I've got so many lovely male friends, all married most, pretty much. Yeah, because obviously they are. Why their wives will stay with them. We need you to teach your sons, call out men on this, give us your support. Because that Giselle Pellico case last year, all those men, they said no, but they didn't go and report it. And maybe as a man, you can't understand what it's like to be afraid like that. That you would stay in that situation where you're so unhappy, you're afraid, because you don't know what he's going to do. If I leave, he'll end up dead. He could harm me. He could harm my children. He could take them away from me. You just, because you know all the gaslighting that goes on. Oh, you're crazy. You're emotional. All that kind of shit. Yeah, that's what it's like. It's horrible. And even when I did leave him, and I got the courage to leave him because he was away, he was working in America, through prayer. What am I going to do? I had no idea what I was going to do. All I could think I had to do. So I used to sing in the church choir. He wasn't a Christian or anything, but I just liked singing. But, well, let's just pray. And pray for strength. That's all I did. Pray for strength. And eventually I did have the strength. And yeah, he did make it very, very difficult for me. He continued to abuse me financially, verbally. Locked me out of the house once, well, before he moved out. Took him nearly a year to move out, by the way, after our first asked for divorce. Even though we had another house that was empty, because we bought a house on a buy-to-let, it was empty, he could have moved straight in there. But no, you know, hindsight maybe I could have done, but you know, this was my kids' home. I wanted to provide some kind of stability for them. So yeah, so if you're watching this, probably the chances are you're more likely to be a woman. Please share this with your male friends. Show it to your husband, your sons, your brothers. And perhaps, you know, you've been through something similar yourself. Talk about it. Say how you feel. Even if you haven't, and it's just that you're afraid walking down the street at night, or even during the day. It's not just at night. You know, I know a woman who was raped in broad daylight just down the road from where she lived. How much longer are we going to have to continue living in fear? And, you know, we hear all this, you know, that's this toxic, like, personal development stuff. Oh, you know, all this stuff about fear, false expectations appearing real. Well, sometimes, you know, a lot of fear is irrational. Like, for me, you know, worrying about not having enough money, for example. That's a pointless thing to worry about because it blocks my creativity. But being afraid for your safety is a real thing. I had an accident in a car about 6 years ago, and they were sorting out the insurance. I had a courtesy car. No, I think, you know, it's before I got the courtesy car. No, I had the courtesy car, sorry, wrong way round. And I had to give the courtesy car back after a certain amount of time, and I thought, actually, maybe I could do without a car, because I'd been without a car before. But one day I was going home from work. It was October, so days were getting shorter. It's got getting dark early, and I had to get 2 trains to get home. Now, those of you in the UK know what Southern Rail's like. I think the first one was delayed, so I missed the second one. I missed my connection, and then the next one was cancelled or something. And I should have been home before it was dark, but I wasn't. It was dark by the time I got back to the station, and it wasn't very nice to walk back from the station in the dark. And I thought, no, I need a car. You know, it's like, yeah, I tried to do my bit for the environment and stuff, and not use my car and use public transport where possible. But the public transport was rubbish, expensive. So, and also a car goes right to my door. And as a single woman living on my own, my safety becomes paramount. So, my necklace is at the front. That's because I've been lying down on my towel. Yeah, so, yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about, really, about safety and and what it's like as a woman sometimes. And that's just how it is. But it doesn't have to be. But we can't do it on our own. Do my bit, I do my bit, what I can. I educate my sons, talk to male friends, make these videos and write and stuff. Because I hope, you know, it might just be a drop in the ocean. Actually, talking of the ocean. Oh, why is my phone not turning round? I thought that was supposed to make it go the other way round. Oh well, I'm going to have to turn it around like that. I was going to say, talking of the ocean, look, there it is behind me. Oh, yes. Yeah, I'm lucky, you know. But at the same time, there was a guy walking on the beach earlier, and my, you know, those thoughts go to your head. So I wanted to get changed, and I have to wait until he's out of sight. But even though I've got my towel around me and my top on or whatever, there's just that, yeah, just those thoughts. It never goes away. They're always there. Anyway, thank you for watching. Do subscribe, support my work, buy me a cup of tea, subscribe, like, share. Let's get this thing monetized. Help me to earn some money and make a living. Because, you know, if I'm able to earn a decent living, I've never had a well-paid job in my life. And it's true, well, apart from when I was teaching for a few years, because of all the stuff I've been through, I had burnout. Anyway, stuff for another video. Support me, please. Because even if it's just buying me a cup of tea, that, you know, I'm so grateful I've had a few people who've done that from this channel. Yeah. Thank you. Sending you lots and lots and lots of love. And I will see you on the next video. Take care. Go well. Lots of love. Bye.